case of Jia Simmons is a tragic and horrifying incident that has sent shockwaves through the Montverde, Florida community and beyond. A young, innocent life was brutally taken under circumstances so egregious that it has left both the public and law enforcement reeling. The story of Jia's death is not just a tale of unspeakable violence, but also a reflection of systemic failures that allowed such a tragedy to occur. Jia Simmons, a 9-year-old girl, was found lifeless in her Montverde home on June 17th. When first responders arrived, they discovered a scene that could only be described as nightmarish. Jia was naked, unresponsive, and already cold to the touch, with visible cuts, bruises, burns, and what appeared to be bite marks across her fragile body. The sight was so disturbing that it prompted a child abuse investigation that authorities later described as one of the worst they had encountered in decades. The investigation quickly turned towards the person responsible for Jia's care, Telle Martin, the 34-year-old girlfriend of Jia's father, Luan Session. Martin, who had often flaunted her role as Jia's bonus mom on social media, was soon revealed to be the primary suspect in what would become a gruesome murder investigation. As detectives delved deeper into the case, they uncovered evidence that shocked even the most seasoned investigators. A warrant was issued to obtain video footage from the home's security system, and what they found was nothing short of horrifying. The footage from the night of June 15th showed Martin, a woman who publicly portrayed herself as a loving stepmother, directing her 100-pound Rottweiler to attack the defenseless child. As the dog viciously mauled Jia, Martin could be seen holding the leash, ensuring that the animal carried out her deadly orders. But the brutality did not stop there. The video also showed Martin repeatedly kicking Jia, even after the child had gone limp. At one point, she dragged Jia's lifeless body across the room and continued to beat her, allegedly declaring, "I'm fixing to kill her." This harrowing footage became a critical piece of evidence in the case against Martin. It not only contradicted the image she had carefully crafted on social media, but also laid bare the true extent of her cruelty. Public persona of a doting stepmother was shattered, revealing a woman capable of unimaginable violence. In the weeks following Jia's death, the Lake County Sheriff's Office continued to build their case against Martin. The medical examiner's report confirmed that Jia's death was a homicide, a result of multiple blunt force injuries to her head, body, and extremities, in addition to burns on her right foot. With this confirmation, law enforcement had the evidence they needed to arrest Martin, charging her with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and child neglect. The legal proceedings began with Martin being denied bond due to the severity of the charges. As more details emerged, it became clear that the abuse Jia suffered was not an isolated incident. Text messages and interviews with witnesses revealed a pattern of physical abuse that had been ongoing for some time. Jia had been subjected to harsh punishments, including prolonged wall sits and being forced to run in place with her arms raised. She was also reportedly hit with various objects, kicked, punched, and pinched on multiple occasions. As the investigation continued, attention turned to Jia's father, Luan Sessions. It was discovered that Sessions was not at home on the night of his daughter's death, as he had traveled to California. However, his absence did not absolve him of responsibility. Sessions had a troubled past, having spent 3 years in prison on drug charges and currently facing an outstanding warrant for violating his probation. This information raised questions about his judgment in leaving his daughter in the care of Martin, a woman with a criminal history of her own. Sessions' role in the tragedy became a point of contention, particularly in light of the custody battle that had been ongoing between him and Jia's maternal grandmother. After Jia's mother passed away from leukemia, grandmother had taken on the responsibility of caring for Jia and her younger sister. However, one day, Sessions picked up the girls from school without the grandmother's consent and never returned them. Grandmother had been fighting to regain custody of Jia at the time of her death, adding another layer of tragedy to the story. As the case unfolded, Martin's criminal history came under scrutiny. Her record dated back to 2010 when she pled no contest to shoplifting charges. Over the years, she accumulated various citations, including driving without a license and not having a child in a car seat. In 2016, she was charged with failure to control an animal, resulting in a bite. Case that was eventually dismissed. This history of irresponsible behavior and disregard for the law painted a picture of a woman who had long been a danger to those around her, yet had somehow managed to avoid serious consequences until it was too late. The involvement of the Rottweiler in Jia's death also sparked a broader discussion about the responsibilities of pet ownership and the potential dangers of certain dog breeds. Rottweilers, like pit bulls, often carry a reputation for aggression. But many argue that a dog's behavior is largely a result of its training and environment. In Martin's case, it was suspected that she may have trained or conditioned the dog to be aggressive, possibly rewarding it for attacking Jia. This theory, if proven, would suggest a premeditated effort to use the dog as a weapon against the child. The phrase, "I'm fixing to kill her," allegedly spoken by Martin during the attack, became a focal point in the legal debate surrounding the charges. Prosecutors argued that this statement demonstrated premeditation, a critical element in securing a first-degree murder conviction. However, the defense could counter that the statement was made in the heat of the moment, potentially reducing the charge to second-degree murder. The timing and context of this statement would play a crucial role in determining the outcome of the trial. Another significant aspect of the case was the delay between Jia's death and the formal charges being brought against Martin. This delay raised questions about the thoroughness of the investigation and the challenges faced by law enforcement in piecing together the events that led to Jia's death. It was speculated that the initial reports may have treated the incident as an accident, given the involvement of a dog. However, as more evidence came to light, the case was reclassified as a homicide, leading to the eventual arrest and charging of Martin. The potential for the death penalty in Martin's case also became a topic of discussion. Florida is one of the few states that still actively pursue the death penalty in cases deemed especially heinous. The murder of a child, particularly under such brutal circumstances, could be seen as fitting the criteria for a death sentence. However, the decision to seek the death penalty would depend on various factors, including the strength of the evidence, presence of any mitigating circumstances, and the likelihood of securing a conviction. As the case moved forward, the legal and moral implications continued to be debated. Martin's portrayal of Jia as her bonus daughter on social media, juxtaposed with the horrific reality of her action, served as a stark reminder of the discrepancies that can exist between online personas and real-life behavior. It also highlighted the importance of vigilance and accountability in situations where vulnerable individuals, especially children, are involved. The tragedy of Jia Simmons' death is a sobering reminder of the potential consequences of neglect, abuse, and systemic failure. It underscores the need for stronger protections for children, more thorough vetting of caregivers, and greater support for families in crisis. As the legal process unfolds, the hope is that justice will be served for Jia, and that her story will serve as a catalyst for change, ensuring that no other child has to suffer the same fate.